A mochi moment from Mark, who writes, I just want to thank you for making GLP-1s affordable. What would have been over $1,000 a month is just $99 a month with Mochi. Money shouldn't be a barrier to healthy weight. 3 months in, and I have smaller jeans and a bigger wallet. You're the best. Thanks, Mark. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Mark is a Mochi member compensated for his story.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today I'm discussing the disappearance of Madalina Cojocari. I first found Madalina's case at the end of 2022, basically right when it became public. And I was shocked that she hadn't gotten more attention. An 11-year-old girl was missing, and no one reported it to police until weeks after the fact. These are the cases that I find myself picking up and running with. The cases where there seems to be some type of trouble at home, and very few people close to the missing child are coming forward to speak with the media or the police. Back in December 2022, I shared a mini-sode with you guys about Madalina's case. It was only 11 minutes long. There was really almost nothing out there about her. I just wanted to get the word out here and, of course, over on my TikTok where I shared what was believed to be the last video taken of Madalina. Then in early 2023, more information came out, and I made a full-length episode about Madalina in March. It's been over a year since that episode, and there have been a lot of new developments in her case that kind of change everything. Even just before this episode was set to air, I ran back to the booth to record the very latest in this case. A new but familiar suspect has been officially named. This is the case of Madalina Cojocari. In November 2022, 11-year-old Madalina Cojocari was in the 6th grade at Bailey Middle School in Cornelius, North Carolina. This is about 20 miles north of Charlotte. It's a cozy suburban town with a population of around 25,000, and it runs along the largest man-made lake in the state, Lake Norman. Madalina lived with her 37-year-old mother, Diana Cojocari, and her 60-year-old stepfather, Cristopher Palmiter. To this day, almost nothing has been published about Madalina's biological father, and as far as I could find, it's unclear if he's ever been located. Much of what we now know about how Diana and Cristopher met comes directly from Cristopher's court testimony, so we really only have this one side of things. But he says they met on a website called Global Ladies in 2008. Cristopher was in his late 40s and Diana was in her early 20s. Diana was living in Moldova then, saying that she was a teacher. Moldova is in Eastern Europe. It's between Ukraine and Romania. But after about a year of talking online, Cristopher visits Moldova and they have a great time. He comes back a few months later with a promise ring for Diana. Cristopher hadn't had a serious relationship since college, but things didn't exactly go as planned. Cristopher says that they basically lost contact after this. Once they reconnected, Diana was pregnant with Madalina. The father was someone local that she'd slept with between Cristopher's visits. In his court testimony, Cristopher has said that Madalina's father wanted nothing to do with Diana, but Cristopher still wanted to be with her, so he proposed. After a 2-year immigration process, Diana and Madalina came to the U.S., and Cristopher and Diana got married on January 9th, 2016. Again, outside of the date that they got married, all of this is according to Christopher, so take it for what you will. But if it's true, I have to imagine that Christopher seemed like a catch to Diana. He'd never been married, no kids, he's educated, he's an engineer. He also dabbled in laser engraving on the side for extra cash. He had no criminal background and was ready to take care of her and Madalina, at least financially. While Diana said that she was a teacher back in Moldova, she never worked while living with Christopher. But flash forward about 6 years to November 2022, and Madalina is now 11. On Monday, November 21st, Madalina attended school like usual. After school, she rides her normal school bus home. The surveillance video system on the bus shows her exiting the vehicle at 4:59 p.m. at her normal stop. This is the last day Madalina goes to school. According to the Charlotte Mecklenburg School's handbook, a school representative will contact a child's guardian after 3, 6, and 10 unexcused absences. When it hits that 10-day mark, they send out a letter explaining that the parent may be referred for prosecution for truancy. The police have also confirmed that Madalina's school did attempt to reach out to her parents several times beginning on November 23rd. Though it does appear that somewhere throughout this process, Diana did say that Madalina was sick, and that's why she wasn't at school. Again, according to the handbook, after 5 absences, parents are required to provide a note from a medical professional. It's unclear if that ever happened. But these absences are piling up. And on the afternoon of Monday, December 12th, Madalina's school resource officer and 6th grade school counselor went to her home to discuss her absence. But no one answered the door, so they dropped off a truancy packet and left. 2 days later, Diana calls the counselor and says that she and Madalina will both be at the school the following day to discuss her absence. And this is really where everything starts to fall apart for Madalina's mom. On Thursday, December 15th, she shows up for the meeting without Madalina. She tells the counselor that the last time she saw Madalina was weeks earlier on November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving. When I covered Madalina's case about a year ago, we didn't have nearly as many details about this meeting. But through court documents, we know a lot more now. Diana first tells the counselor that she last saw Madalina around noon. But when the school resource officer asks her about it, Diana changes her story and says it was actually closer to 10 p.m. She says she and her husband were fighting, and that's when Madalina went to bed. She says the next morning, on Thanksgiving, she went to go check on Madalina around 11:30 a.m., but she wasn't in her room or anywhere else. Diana explains that Madalina did not have a cell phone, and even though she'd been in North Carolina since she was a toddler and went through most of her schooling here, says she doesn't have any friends because she's from Moldova. When asked why she didn't report Madalina missing, she says she was afraid it would start a conflict with her husband. So they asked Diana to call Christopher and have him come join this conversation at the school. 2 detectives from the Cornelius PD are also called out. They talked to Christopher. When asked when he last saw Madalina, Christopher says it was about a week before her last day of school, putting it around November 14th. Now, as far as I could find, Christopher never really gives an exact date here. Even in his 2024 court testimony, he's unsure of the last day that he saw Madalina. But he says that on the night of the 23rd, so 2 days after Madalina got off the school bus, Diana asked him to drive to his family's home in Michigan to get some clothing that Diana and Madalina had left there a few months prior. So he made the about 13-hour trip to Lansing. Throughout his police interviews, Christopher explained that he got back from Michigan on the night of November 26th. It seems that he stayed there for a few days over the Thanksgiving holiday. He says that when he gets back, he asks Diana where Madalina is, and if she's hiding her somewhere. But apparently Diana asks him the same questions. By the end of this meeting at the school, a missing persons report is finally made for Madalina. And 2 days later, both Diana and Christopher are arrested on felony charges for not reporting a missing child to police. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
At Diana's bond hearing, prosecutors said that she reported Madalina missing begrudgingly and hindered the investigation into her disappearance. They say that they have grave concerns that if Diana is released on bond, she'll continue to hinder the investigation and the search. Diana's bond was set at $250,000, and Christopher's bond was set at $200,000. That night, the community holds a candlelight vigil for Madalina. From December 16th through the 21st, the Cornelius PD obtains 6 search warrants. They want the T-Mobile call detail records for both Christopher and Diana, to search Christopher's phone specifically, and to search the family home. Now, these were originally sealed by a judge, but after some time and a petition from a local journalist to have them unsealed, they were released with redactions. These warrants outline the timeline of the investigation and give us a little more insight into what exactly they were looking for in Madalina's home. They were authorized to search the home, vehicles, and basically anything on the property. It seems that in addition to looking for obviously any evidence of a crime, they were also looking for travel documents, Madalina's clothing, and any possible DNA samples. According to court testimony given by Cornelius Police Detective Gina Patterson, when she entered Madalina's home, the first thing she noticed was the strong smell of cat urine. She says there were about a dozen cats living in the home. And as investigators make their way through the house, they find some Western Union receipts. They show that Diana had wired a total of $7,000 back to her relatives in Moldova. They also found a handbag of hers with $7,500 in cash. We know that Madalina's laptop was taken, along with 3 cell phones. The owners have not been identified. If you believe Madalina Cojocari that Madalina did not have a cell phone, it would appear that either Christopher or Diana had 2 cell phones. Whether they're new or old, I can't say. It could have been a phone for Madalina. It also could have been a phone from years prior kept in a drawer. We just don't know. Investigators also find an area in the kitchen that was blocked off with plywood. When asked, Christopher said that they planned to build a separate apartment. They also dug up some areas in the backyard, but as of this recording, it's not clear if they found anything. Now, while the investigation into Madalina's disappearance was greatly focused on her mother and stepfather, there were some searches for Madalina. Teams searched the area surrounding Madalina's home, Lake Cornelius, which is about 2 miles from the home, and Lake Norman, which is adjacent. Like I told you, it's the largest man-made lake in the entire state. And it's huge. It has 520 miles of shoreline and over 50 miles of surface area. If anything was found, again, authorities have not released that to the media. Then, in January 2023, police announced something huge. Multiple witnesses come forward to say that they saw Diana's light green Toyota Prius in the days after Madalina was last seen. She was spotted in some pretty remote areas in the North Carolina mountains. One witness said that she saw Diana's car on Tuesday, November 22nd, the day after Madalina was last seen in that footage getting off the school bus. According to that witness, they saw her car in Weaverville. This was later corroborated by another resident who says that they saw the same car at a Weaverville IHOP restaurant on November 25th. Weaverville is a 2-hour drive from Cornelius. The next witness says that they saw Diana's car parked near Lonesome Mountain. She says it stuck out to her because later the same vehicle caught up to her and sped past her. I think it's worth noting that Diana's Prius is this pretty distinguishable sea foam color. It's kind of hard to miss. Now, Lonesome Mountain is north of Weaverville. You basically run right into it 22 miles up the road. The unfortunate part here is we don't know the exact date of this sighting. So it's hard to say that if this was Diana, if she visited the area several times over a few days or just stayed in the area, at least from the 22nd to the 25th. But I do think that we have good reason to believe that it was Diana's Prius that was seen, because law enforcement confirmed to Inside Edition that they made contact with Diana near Lonesome Mountain after Madalina was missing. An officer saw her, pulled over to the side of the road, and asked if she needed help. She didn't, but the officer says that Diana was alone. Of course, these areas were searched as well, but it doesn't appear that anything was found. Slowly but surely, Madalina's case moved along. Throughout the investigation, a few different agencies worked her case. The Cornelius PD, the State Bureau of Investigation, and the FBI. Not many details were made public until the court proceedings began, statements were made, and documents were released. We find out that in early March 2023, Cristopher and his attorney met with the State Bureau of Investigation and the FBI. Reporting from this meeting reveals that audio recordings exist that show Diana had a plan to hide Madalina without Cristopher's knowledge. Texts between Diana and Cristopher, as well as messages between Diana and an unnamed third party, also reference plans to hide Madalina. There are also texts to show that Diana planned to leave Cristopher without his knowledge. Now, throughout all these court proceedings leading up to the trial, Cristopher's court-appointed attorney, Brandon Roseman, requests everything on Madalina's case. He wants all the information they have to show that his client was not complicit with Diana's plan. They want everyone's statements, notes from investigators, all results of all testing and examinations, all the bench notes, everything. But all of their requests were denied. The state argued that the investigation into Madalina's disappearance didn't impact Cristopher's charge of failing to report her missing. Then, in July 2023, another major bombshell hits the news. Madalina was seen alive, weeks after Diana and Cristopher say they last saw her. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the Keys. Any leads on who they might have been running for?
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
After more search warrants were unsealed in Madalina's case, it was made public that a child and a man were seen in Sugar Mountain on December 16, 2022. This is the day after the meeting with the school. And these people were, quote, physically consistent, end quote, with Madalina and her only known blood relative in the U.S. They were also seen at a Lowe's food store in nearby Linville, North Carolina. This is about 2 hours north of Cornelius. It was also revealed that law enforcement sent an informant to share a cell with Cristopher. It doesn't seem like much was found here, though. The informant says that Cristopher wrote what he remembered about Madalina's disappearance in a notebook that was later seized by the police. But it was really around the same time that representatives on both sides began talking to the media even more. Cristopher's lawyer said that they believed Madalina is being hidden by someone Diana assigned. Then Diana's mother, Madalina Cojocari, begins accusing Cristopher of a lot. She tells reporters that she thinks he trafficked both Diana and Madalina for $5 million. That he stalked them for 2 years and held them captive in their home like prisoners, stealing all their important documents. She also says that Cristopher drugged Diana and Madalina, saying that he would use narcotics to make them sleep and would slip the narcotics in their juice. She says Madalina was kidnapped and is still alive, and that Cristopher threatened Diana not to tell police or he would kill her. She thinks Madalina may have been forced to get plastic surgery to change her appearance and evade law enforcement. Now, during all this time, since December 2022, both Cristopher and Diana have been incarcerated on their felony charges of failing to report Madalina missing. But in August 2023, Cristopher posts bail at $25,000. He did have his fingerprints taken and was made to surrender his passport. He was also placed under a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. with exceptions for work and school. Now, one just kind of odd thing I found between Cristopher posting bail and his and Diana's trials was in February 2024. Diana apparently refused to attend court. She basically just wouldn't leave her cell. Her court date was rescheduled and all went according to plan. But since the police have discussed her hindering the investigation, this felt important to include, even if I don't know what it means yet. Cristopher and Diana were tried in May 2024. Diana pleaded guilty and Cristopher pleaded not guilty. Again, this is just for failing to report Madalina missing. Now, Diana's trial was pretty quick. She was found guilty, and after 7 months in the Mecklenburg County Detention Center, she was released on time served. Cristopher Palmiter's trial was much longer, spanning about 2 weeks through the end of May. The defense spent a lot of time outlining his relationship with Diana. They discuss how they met, which I told you at the beginning of this episode, and they add that things were just not great from the start. Cristopher says that through getting his marriage license, he found out that Diana lied about her age. He also says that the marriage was never consummated, and Diana withheld all affection aside from the occasional kiss. While the couple did share a bedroom until 2017, he reported that Diana then moved into Madalina's room. She was sleeping on a trundle under her bed all the way up until Madalina went missing. They also outlined Diana's odd behavior. It's explained by one of Christopher's friends that once while on vacation, people began taking pictures of this rainbow above a cloud. And this upset Diana. She asked them to stop, saying that they were seeing an angel getting its crown, and taking pictures was sacrilegious. Christopher says that Diana's behavior changed greatly in 2021. While she'd always been spiritual, she began to follow a woman named Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who the defense said was the leader of a cult-like church. After this, Diana would spend hours screaming chants, manifestations, and prayers at the top of her lungs at all hours of the night. She also burned various items as a part of this ritual, and had Madalina follow. In the summer of 2022, so not long before Madalina went missing, Diana told Christopher that she was being stalked by Vladimir Putin and Michael Jackson. She says they wanted to marry her because she had Russian nobility titles that they coveted. She also said that they wanted her land. While Christopher said that he did not believe any of this was true, he did accommodate Diana's feelings. She was scared. She wanted to get away. So Christopher sends Diana and Madalina to stay with his relatives in Michigan. But that didn't appear to help. Christopher also reports that one time Madalina's school sent back proofs of her school pictures, and across the top was a message about ending child trafficking. Christopher tried to explain that this was probably something that was on every single proof sent home with every kid, but Diana took this as a targeted threat to Madalina specifically, and began to feel that the school was indoctrinating children. She also quickly became concerned about phones being nearby as she discussed hiding Madalina. It was also revealed that, according to Christopher, he had basically no input on Madalina's upbringing. He would do things like take her to the park, buy her things, spend time with her in the house, but her education, her care was all controlled by Diana. His lawyer laid out a timeline of Madalina's disappearance and argued that Christopher had been manipulated and dominated by Diana. They say that sending Christopher on that trip to Michigan to grab the clothes was premeditated. They believe Diana left that clothing there intentionally. But he says that he packed immediately. Basically within 45 minutes, he was ready to make this 12-plus-hour trip. He maintained that he did not see Madalina that morning, but Diana said that she was asleep upstairs. They argue that through Diana's communication, she was trying to portray an image that she was with Madalina. During this time, Diana told him that she and Madalina were taking trips to the mountains, that she was in her room sick, and she sent him text messages that indicated she and Madalina were together. The defense argued that Christopher worked long hours to provide for his family. On top of this, Diana began to send him on this series of prolonged errands to distract him from Madalina being missing. They also provided documentation about the internet being fixed. It appears that the week after Madalina was last seen, the internet cable in their home had been cut. This made it impossible for Christopher to work from home, so he made the 3-hour round-trip commute each day to his job in Greensboro. Now, normally he would only go into the office on Monday and Tuesday. Then Wednesday through Friday, he was able to work from home. But with the internet being out, he obviously had to make the 90-minute drive to work and back each day. He says he usually got home after Madalina's bedtime, and he didn't see her at all that week. But he remembers that her bedroom light was on, so he assumed she was in there. He also claims that when a tech came out to fix the internet, no one answered the door. When Christopher followed up with Diana, she said that she and Madalina were out of town. He also says that Diana left a note on the refrigerator with the same message. She and Madalina were making trips to the mountains. Christopher explains the November conversation after he returned from Michigan. He claims that he did ask Diana about Madalina, in which she said Madalina was in the bathroom. But he says he was standing directly in front of the bathroom door and she was not in there. Then he asked Diana where Madalina was, and she asks him the same question. He then asked if she was hiding Madalina, and she again met him with the same question, this time laughing. Now, Diana was on standby to be a witness in Christopher's trial, but the defense ultimately decided not to call her to testify. However, Madalina's school counselor and bus driver were called to testify. Both seemed to have cared about Madalina very much, and both got emotional on the stand. Ultimately, the prosecution pushed back, saying that Diana's behavior was even more cause for Cristopher to report Madalina's disappearance to authorities. They also played 5 voicemails left on his cell phone from the school expressing their concerns about Madalina's absence. Cristopher does defend himself against these messages. He says, yes, I did get these voicemails, and I conveyed to Diana that she needed to call the school. He said he was at work, and Diana always took care of those things. After less than 30 minutes of deliberation, Cristopher Palmiter was found guilty of failing to report Madalina missing. He's given 30 months of supervised probation and has to repay over $30,000 in attorney's fees. But he's set free on time served. Cristopher filed for divorce shortly after in mid-June 2024. The court documents I found don't list a specific reason, just that they'd been separated since they were both arrested in December 2022. And then another major bombshell drops, probably the biggest in this case so far. On June 23, 2024, Madalina Cojocari is officially named a suspect in Madalina's case.
We gather here tonight to bring women back to their rightful place.
The Testaments, a new Hulu original series from the executive producers of The Handmaid's Tale.
It's easier to accept a story than believe that the people around you are monsters.
The battle isn't over.
There comes a time when you have to take action, when you have to choose your own destiny.
Never quite as it seems. Watch the new Hulu original series, The Testaments, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
After a slew of court documents are made public throughout, and after Cristopher and Diana's court proceedings, we learn a lot more. Some of which I have to imagine led to Diana being named a suspect in this case. The only suspect named for the record. Now, because there's so much here, I think it's easier just to kind of recompile our timeline based on what we know now as of June 2024. So let's take it from the top. Cristopher Palmiter says that he hadn't seen Madalina since about November 14th, 2022. On Sunday, November 20th, Cristopher says that he and Diana got into a big argument over a tall coffee mug with a snowflake on it. He says Diana was upset that he put the mug by the coffee machine. He denied doing this. They go back and forth, she starts screaming, and then she throws the mug on the floor. It smashes and dents the floor. After that, she begins smashing mugs, plates, and bowls in the trash can, saying that she felt everything needed to be white, clean, or have no symbols touching her food. The next day, Monday, November 21st, this is the last day that Madalina's seen at school. This is confirmed by video surveillance as well as school records. Cristopher attends work as normal, but Diana sends Cristopher to find a mug with a snowflake on it to replace the one that she'd broken the day before. Records were presented in court showing his map search history, placing him at a Walmart close to 7 p.m. This is where he says he bought another snowflake mug. On Tuesday the 22nd, Diana is seen in Weaverville. Again, Cristopher goes to work and gets home close to 9 p.m. after shopping at Walmart again. In court, he says that he doesn't recall if he'd seen Madalina that night. Take that for what you will. Now, you guys know how I am. I have to tell you that I found some discrepancies about these next few dates. At times, the court documents conflict with what the media has reported. I will also say that as I went through my sister's trial process, I saw the state and defense mess up dates. Sometimes, in my opinion, lawyers are just trying to get these documents through pretty quickly and errors are made. But as far as I can gather, this appears to be the most accurate timeline based on the many sources I used to research this case. Diana says Wednesday, November 23rd is the last time she saw her daughter. She first says around noon, then says it was closer to 10 p.m. when she and Cristopher were fighting and Madalina went to bed. Sometime either that night or early the next morning, Diana asked Christopher to go get the clothing from his family's home in Lansing, Michigan. In his court testimony, Christopher says that this just wasn't the plan for Thanksgiving. He'd purchased some supplies to make a repair in the house and planned on doing that. But instead, he complies and makes this 12-plus hour trip. Although, according to Christopher, Diana and Madalina sleep in the same room, literally on her trundle under her bed attached to her bed, Diana says that she doesn't notice that Madalina is missing until 11:30 a.m. on the 24th, when she goes into her bedroom and finds that she's gone. Of course, it's possible Diana could have slept somewhere else. It's possible Christopher's lying. I'm just trying to tell you what we know. On November 25th, a witness believes they saw Diana's Prius at an IHOP in Weaverville. Sometime between the 22nd and the 25th, another witness says that she sees her about 22 miles away at Lonesome Mountain. Again, we unfortunately don't have the date of this, but an officer did confirm also seeing Diana near Lonesome Mountain. Christopher returns from Michigan at about 7 p.m. on Saturday the 26th. This is when they both ask each other if they know where Madalina is or if they're hiding her. And here is something disturbing and new. According to statements from Gina Patterson from the Cornelius PD, Christopher admits in a police interview that over Thanksgiving, Diana had burned most of Madalina's things, including almost everything in the house with Madalina's picture on it. She had apparently moved just a few photos of her up to the attic. This is somewhat confirmed by a neighbor who says that they saw Diana burning furniture on November 30th, specifically a twin mattress believed to have belonged to Madalina. We also discover through court documents that Diana communicated with her cousin, Octavian Sabanu, to tell him that the, quote, medical excuse, end quote, she used to excuse Madalina's absence from school was about to expire, and that she was concerned that the school would start asking questions. Outside of Diana, Octavian is the only known blood relative of Madalina in the United States. On December 2nd, Diana tells a relative that her and Christopher's relationship is not good. She wants a divorce. And she also wants to smuggle herself and Madalina out of Cornelius. She also indicates that she knows where Madalina is and that she's alive. On December 3rd, Diana's seen about an hour away from Cornelius at a service station in Hickory getting an oil change. This is about 2 hours from Lonesome Mountain. The attendant says that he remembers seeing children's toys in the car, but no child. On December 4th, Diana drives towards the mountains, claiming she's searching for Madalina. On December 12th, Madalina's school counselor and school resource officer drop off the truancy packet. On December 14th, Diana calls the school to say that she and Madalina would be there the next day. On the 15th, Diana goes to the school without Madalina, and both she and Christopher speak with police. An official missing persons report is made for Madalina. On December 16th, video footage shows what the police believe to be Madalina and Diana's cousin Octavian near Sugar Mountain. Again, this is about 2 hours north of Cornelius. They were also spotted at the Lowe's food store in nearby Linville. While we're talking about her cousin, authorities also recovered cell phone data that shows Diana had extensive communication with him. Octavian also made phone calls to people who have not been identified, but police say they are involved in drug and narcotic trafficking investigations. It was also revealed that when Diana's car was searched in February 2023, a dog did alert to narcotics being in the passenger side door. Inside the car, they also find a debit card from Moldova with Diana's name on it. I don't have information about whether or not that card was current. But at this point, Diana and Madalina had been out of Moldova for nearly a decade. They also find Madalina's Romanian and Moldovan passports, along with Diana's Romanian passport. There was also a slew of other documents like education records and work certificates. It kinda sounds like all that information, all those documents that Diana's mom accused Christopher of hiding from them. But I can't say that for sure. It's also worth noting here that while Diana was still in custody in April 2023, she was caught with a bag of cocaine and fentanyl, though the charges were dropped after she claimed to have found the bag in the communal shower. According to a motion filed by Christopher's attorney to delay his trial, Diana had spoken with Octavian before, during, and after Madalina's disappearance. On December 17th, Christopher and Diana are arrested for failing to report Madalina missing. Now, I will say that some of the dates here are a little bit fuzzier. In a recorded call from the jail between Diana and her mom, they discuss a bag with money, withdrawing cash, and Christopher possibly selling Madalina. In another recorded call between Christopher, his brother, and his sister-in-law, he says Diana had a lot of cash with her, and he didn't know where it came from. I can only assume that that's the $7,500 found in Diana's purse. Of course, the rest of the timeline is in this episode. But as it relates to the investigation into Madalina's case, that's basically where it is today. Diana's free, and apparently attempted to at least visit her old home with Christopher despite her strong statements about him. This actually happened after she was released and while Christopher was still going through his trial. He says he found her asleep on the porch. He let her sleep inside for the night, and then had his brother take her to a hotel the next day. Christopher says that her name is on the deed, but he didn't want her there, and says that they have had no contact since. And like I said, Christopher did file for divorce not long after. He is also free. So what happened to Madalina Cojocari? I think there's obviously a strong argument to be made that Diana was involved in whatever happened. Of course, the strongest theory appears to be that Diana sent Madalina to her cousin. What happened from there is hard to say. I think many outcomes are possible. But let's focus on what we know. Diana was named a suspect, and Christopher was not. Christopher was placed on supervised probation, and Diana was not. Police also placed an informant in Christopher's cell. As far as we know, they did not do the same to Diana. Another interesting note is that upon Diana's release, the judge in her case said that it was very likely that she'd be deported back to Moldova. But as of this update about her being named a suspect, that doesn't appear to have happened. Are they keeping her in the country for possible charges? I don't know. But with this news, they have asked the public to keep sharing Madalina's case. Which brings me right to our call to action. Just like in 2022, Madalina's case is still not getting nearly as much attention as I'd expect it to, as many children who went missing and weren't reported until days or weeks later have gotten. Even the video testimony of Christopher talking in court only has like 200 views on those videos. Please share Madalina's case. It does seem like law enforcement is highly invested. But with this new revelation, they've asked for us to share, so that's what I will ask you to do. I think it's very possible that they're just waiting for a few more pieces of this puzzle to come to light. And as we've seen throughout this entire roller coaster of an episode, there's new evidence popping up what seems like every day. So please share. I don't know what happened to Madalina, but as I've seen in the media, it doesn't really seem like anyone is fighting for her. And I'm not trying to place blame on anyone for that. I just hope it gives you one more reason to share. As a reminder, it is now believed that Madalina Cojocari was last seen on December 16, 2022, near Sugar Mountain in North Carolina. Madalina was 11 years old when she went missing, and would now be 13 as of April 2024. She is white with brown hair and brown eyes, At the time of her disappearance, she was 4 feet 10 inches tall and weighed about 90 pounds. She was last seen wearing jeans, pink, purple, and white Adidas shoes, and a white t-shirt with the words, "I can change the world with love," written across it. She was also wearing a jacket. Anyone with information about Madalina is asked to contact the Cornelius Police Department at 704-892-7773. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. You can also support what we do here on Patreon at patreon.com/voicesforjustice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The door is open. Our emotional support puppies are in the room. Let's talk about Madalina's case. My goodness, this episode felt like a roller coaster because this case is a roller coaster, and I hope the format made sense. Trying to go in just chronological order felt insane. Absolutely insane as to when things came out, when they happened. It is a bonkers timeline. Just because so much was held back and then it was released, it can be hard to follow. And I tried to make it not that way, so I hope it came across that way. I will say that there is a lot more about this in Christopher's testimony. You can watch literally all of it on WCNC's YouTube channel. There's hours of his testimony. And I didn't include it all because without Diana's side, it felt like the episode would be extremely unbalanced. So I included what I felt to be the most important parts. I mean, he goes on about fights. There's recordings between him and Diana. And honestly, a lot about their relationship that, while it can point, I think, to Diana having some mental health struggles, I'm not sure how relevant it is to Madalina's case outside of the facts I presented here. I think I was able to portray what the police likely think happened with the facts that I gave. But again, if you want to hear it all from Christopher, if you want to see his face, if you want to hear the emotion and judge for yourself, that is out there. And again, I cannot believe those videos have like 200 views on them. It just, what's popular in true crime and what's not, for some reason, always seems to perturb me. I don't know if it's surprising anymore, but it does genuinely annoy me. I just wish Madalina would get more coverage. And again, these really are the cases that I like to pick up and run with. I am not trying to place blame on anyone for not speaking out about Madalina. It does seem that the options are quite limited. Her one relative here in the US is basically being accused of hiding her. Her grandma did make some statements. I went over those, mostly accusing Christopher. But other than that, you know, in a lot of cases, you see one person spearheading everything, right? A lot of families make a family contact, and I don't know if it's a lack of family or, you know, just everybody being overseas. There just doesn't appear to be anyone for Madalina doing that. So I always feel the need to butt in and step in and try to at least raise awareness. I won't say that I'm leading this charge. That's ridiculous. But I'm trying my best. This is the third time I've covered Madalina's case, and I will continue to cover it until we have a resolution. She deserves it. I will also say that I was going insane with the date discrepancies. There's so many discrepancies online, but I think I nailed down one what just makes sense. Some of the things didn't really make sense. I'm also still stuck on the last words from this episode, really going back and forth about how Christopher and Diana have each been treated by police. And, while again, I think it's a strong argument that Diana, sent Madalina with her cousin for whatever reason and whatever happened, I still, again, can't get over one being named a suspect, the other not, one being on supervised probation, the other not, police placing this informant in Christopher's cell and not in Diana's. I don't know. And on top of all of that, the media is reporting and the judge told her that she's probably going to be deported, and that hasn't happened. I don't know. I don't know with this one. I will say that as you watch Christopher's testimony in that trial, he continually says he doesn't know which day he last saw Madalina. This week before statement appears to kind of go out the window. I don't know, you guys. Let me know what you think. On to what's going on with me. Not a lot that is true crime related, to be totally honest with you. I think a lot of the world right now, have been glued to my TV every Sunday night to watch the Game of Thrones spinoff, House of the Dragon. Yeah. I've just been working away, not doing a lot true crime related outside of cases. I'm also preparing for the True Crime Podcast Festival. I'm the keynote speaker, and I'm also doing a presentation with Julie Murray where we discuss what it's like to be a family member in true crime, which is a loaded topic. But I think it'll be good. Hopefully people care and want to listen. I think that they will. But other than that, I'm just fully I'm so enthralled with House of the Dragon right now. I can't even describe it. All I can really say about that is you're either Team Black or we're not friends, and that's a non-negotiable. Okay, I guess I'll negotiate, but still, why are you Team Green? If you're Team Green, please tell me why. Because I do not understand. I don't understand you Greens over there. We are Team Rhaenyra. We are Team Black. We are Team Justice over here, okay? This is going to be the worst transition ever. Let's go right into our segment of hope, since I don't have a lot going on in my life right now. This story is a little bit older. It's December 2023, and it's way across from us, all the way in Finland. But this is from sunnyskies.com, skies with a Z in case you want to look it up. And the title is Missing Child Found Alive Inside a Pile of Snow by a Police Dog in Finland. So basically it looks like this child, they're not named, they are described as a school-age child. They went missing on December 23rd at about 7 p.m. And then apparently on Christmas Eve, they were located with the help of this dedicated police dog named Kuha, I think, Kuha, Kuha. Basically, while the search initially focused on like the city center, the patrol dog, the dog patrol, huge difference, dog patrol, we need more of that in the US, led by Kuha, so he's like the leader of this pack. He carefully inspected a snow pile where children had built snow caves, And despite the challenging conditions, his keen sense of smell and persistence of the patrol paid off. At 12:30 on Christmas Eve in the morning, the dogs, I should say, discovered a shoe sole buried beneath 3 feet of snow, and the child was inside. Now, they were initially unresponsive, which is really scary, obviously, but they apparently recovered fully after receiving medical attention. The success of this rescue mission was attributed to the extensive training of police dog Kuha and the dedication of the dog patrol. And apparently the dog, I'm like getting teary-eyed. Apparently the dog patrol was commended by the Finnish Police Dog Association for their exceptional performance. And specifically, they celebrated Kuha's role in the successful rescue. And that is our segment of hope. I know that it's not a tip that came in. It's not extremely relevant to sharing like we do here all the time. But it does give me hope. I mean, my goodness, how cool is it to have these tools like dogs that can really find people? And I feel like in a lot of these episodes, we talk about, well, a dog tracked the scent. We don't know if it was real. We talk about, people scamming families with dogs. There's a lot of, wish-wash. There's a lot of uncertainty about dogs in terms of true crime, and that's valid, right? It's valid. They're not 100% accurate, but it does seem like Hoo-Ha and his dog patrol, they were fantastic. They found this child is alive, and all is well. So that's our segment of hope. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.